So I'm assuming most people are probably familiar with MCP as a kind of as a concept or as a tool. It's the Model Context Protocol. It was developed about 15 months ago. I think it was in 2024, around November was when Anthropic kind of came out with the first version of that, and we've been seeing kind of rapidly evolving over the last 15 months or so. The way that I've kind of approached explaining it to people who are maybe a little bit, you know, worried about the acronyms and the technical side of things is that we're all getting used to using our AI agents as kind of a expert in some field. So for example, your AI agent might be your chef who you can ask it, how do I cook this salmon? Or how do I make this kind of pasta? Or what are the ingredients I need to make the best casserole, whatever it might be. And the chef can typically give you those ingredients. It can tell you how to cook them, how to put things together in that standpoint. But that's usually where that kind of journey ends. And where MCP kind of comes into play here is it's this kind of like universal plug and play that actually allows an AI agent to connect to a tool to actually do and interact, do things with that tool. So in this analogy, you would actually be giving that chef who you've been talking to about with recipes the pots and pans and the utensils and some of the ingredients to actually go and cook that food for you. Obviously, AI is not going to make you a salmon meal. Maybe not yet. Maybe in a few years we'll get there if you could integrate it with your oven or something. But kind of the analogy of it, you give it the tools to actually go and execute on your behalf, as opposed to just giving you the instructions in that standpoint. So it's very universal. It allows you to plug into multiple tools, and you can have your agent kind of you can create custom agents that allow you to interact between different tools in that standpoint. And we'll talk a little bit about that in just a bit. So we came out and we decided to build our MCP server. This all kind of budgeted over the summer, and we announced it at Canvas 25 back in October, and we've been going through some private and public betas ever since then, and now everyone has access to be able to test it. We purposely built it with a limited set of tools, so there are, a lot of people in the early days were like, hey, we have a bunch of public APIs. We'll wrap those, put those into an MCP server and like walk away from it and we're done. A lot of the learnings and things that we've found from the industry and in the market was that that was actually giving too much context to AI agents, and people were getting a lot of hallucinations, or the AI agents were getting kind of confused because there was too many options for them to pick up and use, and weren't getting the best results. So we wanted to be very specific with what our MCP server and the use cases our MCP server would actually solve for. And we focus very much on the engineering and product kind of design use cases. So like the vibe coding side of things, the delivery of code, the explanation of code, these types of use cases where we're seeing a lot of opportunity with AI to kind of cut down on time and manual effort that's being spent, and making sure that people are getting the right context. We also offer some functionality that's not available through our public APIs. So we're not, there's a couple of community MCP servers that are out there. They are great, but they don't offer all of the functionality that we have, which is things like creating diagrams, creating tables and things like that we'll show you in just a little bit. And we're continually investing in it. So there are new tools coming out. We are creating skills, so Claude skills, Claude plugins. We are working on a partnership with a lot of the kind of players out there. So we have Kiro Powers. We're working with GitHub Copilot on creating custom agents in their space. So we're working with a few of these different partners to make sure that our MCP servers are available in them, and that we're creating the right types of agents to do the workflows that you want to be able to do. So yeah, really excited about that. So no matter what tool you're using, you should be able to connect our Miro MCP server to it. So this is kind of a high level overview of the key functionality today. So we have the ability to kind of create and do some updates to docs, tables, and diagrams. So these are the formats within Miro that we've kind of primarily focused on. We didn't necessarily start with like stickies and shapes, but that's because we wanted to be very intentional in showing the different formats and functionality that were for the use cases that we wanted. The primarily kind of hero use case that we launched with last week was around diagramming and visualizing code bases and things like that. So we really wanted to focus on these types of formats. As I mentioned, we are introducing new tools, so you should see in the next few weeks some new things coming up as well. And the other kind of big functionality there, and I think this is a pretty no-brainer, is the ability to kind of read and summarize boards. And so the original thinking around this was, if I'm working on a new app, I can do all of my thinking and planning with my team or myself inside of a Miro board. And then I can go into my Claude code or my VS Code or my GitHub Copilot or my Windsurf or whatever replit, lovable, tool that I have, and I can actually prompt the agent to grab my board as the context within that prompt and get a lot more accurate kind of representation of what I want to build in that standpoint. And some of the idea behind that as well is that instead of working back and forth with your agent, so if I'm in like a tool like Lovable, I might be going back and forth with my with the agent, prompting a lot, spending a lot of dollars on refining things. Whereas actually, if I go into Miro and I actually do a lot of that thinking ahead of time, when I go to my prompt with my tool in Lovable, I'm actually getting a better context window for that agent. That's a lot more specific to what I want to deliver on. So that's kind of the initial idea around that. But that doesn't mean you can't summarize a workshop. You can't summarize your retro for action items and things like that through our MCP server as well. So all of these functions were built with the idea around the engineering product design users or personas, but that the magical thing about MCP and these agents is that you can actually use it however you want to use it for your specific use case if you want to test it. Um, so the two use cases that we've kind of gone to market with and talked about and that we'll demo today are around kind of the visualizing your code base. So in a lot of organizations, you might have legacy code base and you may have the new person joining your team, or you might be wanting to kind of address that legacy code base and want to collaborate on, hey, how could we maybe make changes to this? Or me as a product manager, sometimes I don't know what my engineers are talking about, and I'm like, hey, agent, you explain this code to me like I'm a 5-year-old so that I can understand when I say we want to change these buttons around and they tell me we can't, you know, can I double check that? Can I understand why that is? And getting that kind of visualization and context of my code explained to me on a Miro board. So through diagrams, documents, tables, and things like that, we can get visualizing our code base. And then the other side is the context of the code, which I kind of alluded to already, which is you might want to put your technical specs, your product requirements, your user stories, your early prototypes or user flow diagrams, things like that on a Miro board, and using that as context in your coding tools. So if you're using a cursor or Claude Code, it can go and read all of that information on your Miro board and help you develop that app a lot quicker with the right context. Cool. So what we're going to do, we're going to jump into demo time, and I'm going to show you a slightly non-engineering use case or example, just to show you kind of some of the ideas and powers with this. And also very excited to share that we were recently added to the Claude Desktop Connector registry. And so I'm going to show us that example here. So um, all I need to do is grab my board that I want to put things onto. And so I have Claude app here. I can go into the bottom left-hand side, click on settings, go to connectors here, and I will have to browse because I need to re-auth Miro. Click on my Miro. Perfect. Now it should go back. Okay, perfect. So now I can go and see that in my settings, uh, if I go to connectors, I should see the Miro connector has been authenticated. I can go in and configure it if I want to. I can look at the different tools that we have and expand and get a little bit more information on them. I can turn them on and off, which is actually really cool. And then we've got a few other kind of, the write and delete tools that exist in that standpoint. So just a little bit of information. And then I can go here and I could ask it, for example, maybe I'm doing a research project, or has access to my code base, which is what Horia is going to show us. And maybe I can ask it something like, can you explain to me the summary of the Harry Potter novels and add the key characters to a data table and show me a diagram of Harry's hero journey. Let's see what happens. And then I can just put the board URL in here. And so now this knows that I need to go onto this board. Okay, I think it was just maybe an error on my part inside of Claude. So uh, it's going to go through here. And so it's like, okay, I'm going to find the Miro board, going to see what's on the board. And then I'm going to go and get information um, around it. So it's creating the document. So it's going on the web, getting that information. What's really interesting about this is that inside of Claude's desktop app, you can actually connect up to 130 different tools. So if you're using Snowflake or Atlassian or any of these other types of tools, you can actually have your agent access information from that system and put it into Miro, or access information from Miro and put it into that system, for example. So let me just go ahead and see where we're at. Here we go. So it's put them over here for me. So I have the summary of Harry Potter written in a document here, the 7-year journey, the final battle, and then um, the key characters from the Harry Potter series, their role, their allegiance, whether they're complex, what house they're part of, and maybe some key traits in that standpoint. So very, very, very easy, simple kind of example. But as I mentioned, if you go over into Claude Code and you go and look at the connectors, there's about 130 different connectors across that you can connect here, and then you can have your agent actually kind of almost integrate with Miro with any of these other systems, which is really exciting. So if you have Claude Desktop, that's great. We are building apps into ChatGPT and a few of the other kind of mainstream AI tools, but we are currently available in all of the IDEs, which is all of the kind of developer tools like VS Code, Cursor, Windsurf, Lovable, Replit, Claude Code, and things like that, which I will now pause and hand it over to Jorge, who's going to show us kind of the primary use case and like engineering use case that we focused on in our launch last week.
Awesome. Thank you, Charles. Let me share my screen here. All right. So you can see my terminal. Is that right, Charles?
Yeah, we can see your screen. Yep.
Perfect. All right, cool. Awesome. Let me uh, authenticate into Claude Code. So let me go here first. All right. Let me just make sure I'm off. I will have to auth again real quick. And then in just a couple seconds, I'll show you a quick code visualization, and I'm gonna also attempt to do a quick context to code as well. So, okay, let's see here. So yeah, we have all of our tools available. So what I'm gonna do first, I already have a prompt here, but let's go ahead and use this. So basically what I wanted to show is, actually, I'll just type it out. So create me a nice flowchart showing how data moves through this repo. And I want to show OpenClaw. So I'm just going to paste in this public GitHub repo here, so the AI agent can take a look. And let's make this repo and create me a data table. Table, all main components they are used for, and a nice doc telling me the security risks of running an agent with OpenClaw on a Mac Mini. Awesome. So I got a flowchart in here, a data table, and then a doc as well, and then add to this board. And let's go ahead and we can just add it to this one. And I'll bring in the board here so you can see it as it's happening. I'm just gonna make this, yes. So I'm gonna let it do its thing here. As I'm trying to resize my screen really quick here. Awesome. So as you can see, it's starting to call some of our internal tools, and it's going to use the diagram create to actually create the diagram. It's going to take just a little bit of time here, and we'll start seeing it appear in just a second on our board. And yeah, as you can see, it's starting, and here's kind of the main diagram that it's working through. And basically, OpenClaw is this new open source project that you're able to kind of create an agent, and you're able to connect it to WhatsApp, Discord, and your teams, and essentially have it able to do and kind of complete a lot of tasks for you. So it's kind of a new, interesting project that has just kind of popped up recently. Cool. and we can see some of the main components here. You can see it's doing .create right now, but I'm just going to quickly go full screen so we can see this just a little bit better. And yes, we are working on the positioning to make everything a bit cleaner. It's just we are working on it. There's just a lot of different things that we're working on, and it's a pretty small team. So as we are working on the positioning, we've heard a lot of feedback on that. So here are the main components of OpenClaw. We have the webhooks, the workspace, some messaging channels. And last but not least, we should get a document in just a couple seconds here. It's still working here, as you can see, to create that document. And we should get all of that security risks documented in just a couple seconds here. And while it's doing that, I'm going to finish kind of going through this diagram. Cool. So here is our security risks. So we can start to quickly look through it. We have the main risk level high for bash execution, file system access, and then some specific for Mac minis, and then network messaging exposure. So yeah, just a nice little way to quickly onboard to a new repo, understand the different parts and pieces of a repo as you're getting started. Cool. So now this is kind of the code visualization piece, but I will now go for the context to code. So let me show you that now. I have a board here, a different board, just to keep things nice and tidy for us. So we have this prototype that I created using an AI workflow. So basically what I did is I ran this idea basically of this kids banking app. It should teach kids about stocks, investing, similar to Duolingo, think gamification. And I have my kind of PRD here with a problem statement, the product overview, the target user. I'm not going to bore you with this massive document, but we can see we have a user story document as well. The prototype, as you can see here, which is probably the most important piece of this Miro board, and then a nice little sequence map of the key flows. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the AI read this board context and create me this working prototype, ideally in a few minutes. I cannot guarantee how fast the AI will be. I tried this earlier and it took, I think, three minutes, but let's see. So my prompt is just going to be create me a working Node.js app that I can run locally based on the FinQuest prototype that you see here. So I'm just going to paste in the board URL. And don't spend too long. We are on a webinar, so only 3 minutes, and make it look as close to prototype as possible. Use code create from board prompt help you. I'm just going to tell it, I have already created one, so to create a new one, there is already a app called FinQuest in my system. Create a new one called FinQuest 2. All right, let's see how fast it can do this. Let's see. So basically what it's going to do is it's going to run Context Explorer and essentially look for all the main different items on the board. So specifically, it's going to look for PRDs, it's going to look for documents, it's going to look for diagrams, it's going to look for prototypes, and it's going to try to mimic this as much as it can. And it's going to try to follow basically everything that we have on this board. And while it's doing that, I also want to show one other thing. It's our Miro AI repo. So a lot of the new plugins that we're working on and the new skills will all be here it's a public repo, so you can all check it out. We also have a lot of our community members already creating issues, as you can see, already creating PRs, giving us feedback on what to work on next. So it's not fully ready to demo on this webinar yet, but we will love to demo a lot of these plugins and skills in the future. So just kind of a nice starting point for you as you if you want to start getting more into Claude Code plugins and other things like that. So I just wanted to show you that. Okay, so yes, I wanted to proceed. You can see it's currently writing the server.js, and it's creating a lot of these package.json files. You can see it's already creating the public dashboard. So it's looks like it's doing decent on time here. We're about 1 minute in, and ideally it'll be done in yeah, a minute or so. You can see it's localhost 3001. I think I already was using localhost 3000 for the previous app as I was prepping for this workshop. Cool. Let's see how it's doing. Okay. So let's check it out. Localhost 3001. Looks like it was done. Awesome. So here's our FinQuest app. So as you can see, it's trying to follow this format. So here's the app, start our journey. Here's our balance. We have some quick stats. We have our, that's weird. Doesn't want to, let me show you the other one that was
Yeah, I was gonna
created
say
earlier.
maybe it might have cut some corners and to be done in 2 minutes instead of the normal few more.
Yeah, so I just created this one literally like 20 minutes ago, and it's able to go through all the different all the different screens that we have. As you can see, we have some nice games to understand compound interest. We have a simulator for our stocks, our visual portfolio to help kids understand stocks. We have different, oh yeah, we already showed you that. Yeah, so that's kind of the main app that it built. So you can see this is on localhost 3000, this is on 3001. So yeah, basically based on that prompt, it's going to try its best to complete a nice prototype. So yeah, those are the main use cases I want to show today. And yeah, let me pass it back to Charles. I can.
Awesome. Drag this back.
So yeah, I'll just quickly wrap up there. So yeah, what you saw is a nice showcase of both context to code. So that last demo, so using a board as your way to ideate, brainstorm, and then create a working app. And then you also saw a nice visualization of a code base to help engineers onboard quicker, maybe share architecture diagrams quicker to help understand and yeah, basically explain your code base quicker. And yeah, I'll pass it back to you, Charles.
Thanks, Ann. So yeah, just a couple more slides we want to go through. We do have a bunch of resources. We can post some of these I'll post these in the chats when I'm done as well. But on how to use our MCP, how to connect to it. Jorge's put in some like tutorials and some guides and some FAQs and stuff in there as well. So there's a lot of rich content in there for you to look at. And then between Jorge and a couple of engineers on our team, we actually have a bunch of YouTube playlists on examples of using our MCP server to build apps across different systems. We've got videos on how to connect to most systems. We're continually putting more content out there. So feel free to go check it out. Again, I'll link it in the chat as well.